physically sensual. They will assault your senses. They are incorporated. They will bend your mind, shatter your sanity, and seal your fate. Lethal Ladies Inc. Try us on for size. We will take your breath away.
Spin the wheel, throw down the gauntlet. Evil dead shit accepts the challenge. Thrills and chills, action and explosions, laughter and hijinks, all are welcome here. Step right up, don't be shy, it's okay to make me cry. Fun and games, torture and pain, which will it be? Spin the wheel and play movie roulette. Spin the wheel and play movie roulette. Spin the wheel and play movie roulette. Thrills and chills, action and explosions, laughter and hijinks, all are welcome here. Spin the wheel, don't be shy. It's okay to make me cry. Fun and games, torture and pain, which will it be? Spin the wheel and play movie roulette.
Howdy, gang, and apologies that I changed the time kind of at the last minute for movie roulette. But I was just sitting around here thinking. I was sitting around here listening to AC/DC, the Who Made Who album, because I'm off today because I got to work 4 hours tomorrow. And I just got to thinking, why am I waiting until 5 o'clock Eastern time to do this movie roulette? I can do it right now, or in a few. And I was thinking that at about 11:45. And so I decided to go ahead and do it at 12:15. And, if people aren't able to due to work or whatever, I definitely don't want anybody getting in trouble at work trying to, get in on the stream. You can always watch it on the replay. Now, this is another episode of Movie Roulette. What is Movie Roulette for those of you that are uninitiated? Movie Roulette is simply a segment that I've started on my channel where if you give a $5 or more super chat during any live stream, that includes this one because it's a live stream. It includes watch alongs. It'll include the Evil Dead chick Slasher Fest that's coming up, hopefully barring any bad storms, that I'll be able to have that starting at 7 p.m. Eastern time tonight. So you can do it during any of the live streams that I have. And if you give a $5 or more super chat during that live stream, you get to pick any movie of your choosing for me to watch and do. I know. Hey, by the way, Uncle Bill, you said, what the hell, Daner? It's noon, boss. Yeah, it is. It is actually 12:19 right now, my time. But I'm off because I have to work for 4 hours tomorrow. So I decided to come on here a little early. Menatallect, bless his heart, gave two $7 super chats, and that may be my groceries getting delivered, which hopefully I won't have to step away because it usually doesn't take me too long to review these films and talk about them a little bit. But please excuse the dogs in the background. So I was going to do this at 5 p.m. today, but then I said, what the heck? I'm just going to go ahead and do this. And if unfortunately people can't watch while I'm doing it live, they can certainly watch it on the replay. And that reminds me, Uncle Bill, what the hell are you doing in here? Aren't you supposed to be working? Not that I'm trying to get Uncle Bill in trouble or anything. Um, but those dogs are absolutely having a fit. So I suspect groceries are getting delivered. But before we get to the movies, which, by the way, this is Steve's copy of Jeepers Creepers that I watched last night, or rewatched after many, many moons. And Host, and I hope I picked the right version of Host, because there's a Korean movie, I believe, called Host, but that was not the one that I ended up watching. I watched Host from 2020. So I'm hoping, Menatallect, that was the one that you wanted me to watch. Okay. If not, I'll be happy to go back and watch the other one, and I'll do another movie roulette and I'll talk about that. Thanks to Poet. I have to give credit to Menatallect for these choices, because he was the one that gave me, God rest his soul. I mean, I'm not meaning he's dead, but God bless him. I should say, he gave me two $7 super chats. And I was like, well, you get a movie for each one of those super chats. So, and you can see one of my little girls was walking behind me. But what we got coming up for the rest of the evening, barring any, potential storms or anything, me and Candace should be returning with an all new, all shiny new episode of Friday Foolish. We're going to be sharing some of our drive-in memories from maybe the more recent past, and some from our youth. Some when we were kids. I'm definitely going to be sharing some of those memories with you guys and gals, from when I was a kid. And we've got Evil Dead Chicks, the premiere of Evil Dead Chicks Slasher Fest coming up. It's going to be, I hope, like hanging out with friends at the drive-in, or hanging out with friends in another friend's basement watching, cheesy movies and having a good time, right? That is what I'm hoping it's going to be. So bring your popcorn, bring your soda or your beverage of choice. I'm not going to judge if you want to be drinking alcohol during this Evil Dead Chicks Slasher Fest, then have at it. We are going to be watching, and I think I've got links for both of them in the description for the stream. We're going to be watching the original Friday the 13th and the original Sleepaway Camp tonight, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I also have a couple of watch-alongs coming up that you guys and gals have chosen. I've got a new poll up for the next group of watch-along, or next couple of watch-alongs, so make sure you get your votes in if you want to have a say in which ones are picked. But Happy Birthday to Me will be Saturday's watch-along choice, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Beetlejuice, the original Beetlejuice, will be Sunday's offering, also starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. All righty. So without further ado, let's get to these movies, and then I am going to take my leave of you guys and gals and probably get my groceries in. So the first one is Jeepers Creepers from 2001, I believe, starring Justin Long before he got uber annoying and drives me crazy now. But he wasn't too bad in this. And, I had not seen Jeepers Creepers since it first came out, or first was released on DVD. So it was good to go back and rewatch it. Yeah, gang, I know it's directed by Victor Salva, but, I don't approve of his behind-the-scenes behavior by any stretch of the imagination, but a lot of times that doesn't keep me from enjoying the film. And two, I was asked to watch this by a supporter of the channel, and so I did so. I wasn't really caring who directed it. I was just mainly looking at the content of the film. So I really, really enjoyed going back and rewatching Jeepers Creepers. I think it's a creepy little film. It's got that Jeepers Creepers song, Jeepers Creepers, where'd you get those little peepers? And that, plays into the movie quite well and adds an extra level of creepiness. So now I can't listen to that song anymore in any context without thinking about this movie, right? And what befalls Justin Long in this. I'm not going to give it all away for those of you that may have still not seen Jeepers Creepers. But you have a brother and sister who I guess are coming home from college to visit with their parents. And apparently, Trisha or Trish, whatever he calls her, um, is involved in a relationship or maybe not involved in a relationship anymore. And instead of coming home or going somewhere with her significant other, she's riding home with her brother. Now it's her car, but her brother Derry, played by Justin Long, is driving the car, and they get accosted by some weirdo in this big truck who comes honking at them and swerves around and leaves them in the dust, basically. And so they think they're rid of this person, this crazy ass, basically. And so they drive a little bit further down the road and they see this house and they see this person that was in that truck taking things wrapped in sheets that look strangely like human bodies and putting them down into a pipe. So unfortunately, in horror movies, these people do stupid things because if they didn't do stupid things, nothing would be there to propel the story along, right? Okay. So Derry says, he's like, Trisha, we got to go back. What if, those were people and maybe they're still alive? And she's like, are you crazy? But he insists. So they go back and she's like, I'm not going down in that pipe. He's like, all right, hold my feet. So things happen. He ends up sliding down into the basement of this church. That's the building. And there are bodies all over the place. And one of the sheet wrapped bodies, he thinks, has still got a living person in there, but they die soon after. But what Derry notices is this guy, it appears that he's been, opened up. His body's been opened up and he's been sewn back up. We don't really know what's happened. So there was this other story, kind of like an urban legend type thing, that Trisha and Derry were talking about, where 20 years ago or so, this girl and her boyfriend had disappeared, and it was said that she was decapitated and all that. Well, Derry's not really talking too much when he comes out of the pipe, and it's basically because he's in shock, right? So he finally tells his sister that he saw, I think her name's Dora, saw her down there with her boyfriend. They were holding hands. He seen the class ring. And he said, she was beheaded. And he said, you know what the guy did? The guy that was dumping all the bodies in the pipe. He said, you know what he did for her? He sewed her head back on. So apparently, he's, killing these people, sewing their bodies back together and preserving them somehow. So he tries to, this dude, the Jeepers Creepers dude, tries to attack them again with his vehicle. He's repeatedly hitting the back of their car, and they finally make it to a gas station cafe, and they say, we need help, we need to call the cops, there's this crazy guy. And at first the people in the cafe don't believe them, but then the waitress sees this this creature, that appears to be half creature half human, smelling of Derry's laundry, that his dirty laundry that he's taken home for his mom to wash, including underwear. Um, and uh, so they're even more freaked out. And so they call the cops. The cops show up. There's two cops, and at first they basically don't believe Trisha and Derry. You know, it's one of those things like, well, you've been smoking, basically. Um, so eventually, though, the cops agree to, escort them to safety, basically. But as they are, the cops are following along behind Derry and Trisha, and we see that creature jump on top of the police car, and the woman cop very stupidly rolls down her window and kind of climbs halfway out of the car and gets pulled up by this thing and killed. And then the other cop gets decapitated and his head comes bouncing over Trisha's car. And they're like, what the hell was that? And they figure out it was his head. And when this thing picks up the cop's head, he basically eats the tongue out of the head. So a lot of, I'm not going to go over the complete film, but I wanted to go over some of the highlights of the film. Very creepy, very atmospheric film. Justin Long was actually good in this one. I didn't feel like he was annoying. Maybe it was because he was a lot younger. I don't know. Um, but he somewhere along the way he must have lost his acting chops and becomes an annoying asshole in everything else he's in, right? So, um, so he was. I thought he was very good in this. I thought this was a very watchable horror film. Yeah, are some things unrealistic? Yeah, they are. But again, it's horror movie logic. You got to suspend disbelief a little bit in order to enjoy a lot of these films. So, I'm not going to give this one my top rating, but upon a rewatch, and this has been years and years and years, right? I'm going to at least give this 4 Deadites out of 5. I could definitely see myself going back and watching this one. And I enjoyed watching it on the Blu-ray too, as well. It really looks good on the Blu-ray, and Steve actually bought it during a sale. I don't know how long ago the sale was. I don't know if the sale was at Amazon. It probably was. And he got this for very cheap. So, if you can find it for free to watch and you've never seen Jeepers Creepers, definitely, seek this one out, because I definitely think it's worth a horror film's time. You know, a horror film fan's time, I should say. I can't even talk today. So seek out Jeepers Creepers if you can find it for free version if you don't already own this. It has been a while. If you got this sitting on your shelf and it's been a while since you've watched it, I say seek that sucker back out. Pull it back out off your shelf and give it another watch. All right. So that's Jeepers Creepers. And the next one is a Shudder original. I did not watch it on Shudder. I did watch it on Tubi. And again, Menatallect, if you see this, I hope this was the one that you wanted me to watch. If not, I'll be glad to go back and watch the Korean one. But this is Host from 2020. We actually see one of the girls wearing a mask at one time. So I think that was what kind of the start of COVID. So that, that makes sense. So I don't have a physical copy of this to show, but I do have like a kind of like a poster for it. And you can see there it says a Shutter original. Someone new has joined the meeting. And so you can watch this on Tubi. Apparently, you can watch it on can't talk. Watch it on Shutter because it is a Shutter original. Um, and here's another great thing about this one. This one's less than an hour long. It's almost an hour long. It's 58 minutes long. But I don't think it needs to be any longer to serve its purpose. So we have, I believe, 6 individuals and a psychic or medium that have decided to get together on a Zoom call. The main girl, Haley, I think her name is gotten this group together, a group of her friends and stuff, and gotten in touch with this medium to help assist with leading this investigation or trying to contact spirits, basically. Okay. So, this is probably going to go awry. Right. So, what happens is they all get together, and the one guy, his girlfriend, I don't know, I guess she's wanting to fool around or something. And he leaves for the majority of the film at that point. He leaves the Zoom call. And so it's just the girls and the medium. And Haley has told them before the medium comes on board, please be respectful of the medium. If you're going to drink on this Zoom call, be discreet, be respectful, don't make fun of her, don't mock the spirits, don't do all the things that you're not supposed to do. Though, based on how these movies are set up, that somebody is going to do something that they should not do. Okay. And that turns out to be Gemma. So they get started, and some kind of weird, slightly weird things. They're seeing things in the background on people's cameras and things like that. And Gemma all of a sudden, kind of starts crying and says, I think it, well, the psychic says you may be able to figure out a name. A name may come to you. And so Gemma says, the name Jack's coming to me. And the medium's like, do you know someone named Jack? Did someone named Jack recently pass away? Is this one somebody that's close to you? And Gemma kind of starts to cry and says that she was hurt, and Jack was a schoolmate of hers and came to her and was very nice to her. And then sometime later, he ended up hanging himself. And, I totally was taken along for the ride as well as the characters within the movie. I should have been able to pick up on this, but I didn't. So the psychic loses the call. And when she either goes away or loses the call or whatever, Gemma just starts laughing. And they're like, oh, Gemma, you didn't. You made this up. And she's like, yeah, I made this up. There's no Jack. That's just a story I made up. Okay. So they're like, why would you do that? And Haley's like, I told you, Gemma, I told all of you to be respectful of both the spirits, to be respectful of the medium. That was the rules, basically. And she's like, well, I couldn't help it. Basically all this stuff is just crazy and silly, right? And one of the girls, I believe her name's Caroline, has been nervous the whole time. I don't think she really wanted to do this, but her other friends wanted to. So she joined in. So some kind of more weird things happen, things falling, glasses breaking, things like that. So they finally get the medium back, and she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. My internet where I'm at is kind of spotty." Okay. So she says, "Do y'all want to, keep trying to connect with Jack, basically?" And they have to tell her that Jack doesn't exist. And she's like, "Well," she said, "unfortunately, we may have inadvertently, or Gemma may have inadvertently opened everybody up to allow the demonic presence in." And that's exactly what happens. So during the remainder of this, and I could only imagine, being on a Zoom call or doing a live stream, and I did a paranormal live stream. Thankfully, we didn't have any demonic entities come in. But if something like that had happened, I would have been scared out of my skin. So watching this late at night was very, very effective. I was seeing shadows and all kinds of things. So this movie is very effective, but I would suggest, if you watch it, um, that you watch it late at night, preferably by yourself, um, unless you're just too scared to do that. I'm afraid it'll freak you out. But that's how it worked best for me. It was very late last night. It was like 1 a.m. And I decided, this is short. I'm going to go ahead and go ahead and watch this, right? So I watched it and I was very affected by it. It did its job. I didn't feel like it was hokey. I thought it was very dark. I thought it was very creepy. I don't want to give away all the cool stuff that happens in it, um, so that you can enjoy it, if you choose to watch it and get startled just like I did. Because I think for a movie like this, that's the way you need to watch it. You need to go into it almost blind. Okay. So if you've never seen Host, I urge you to seek it out. If you have Shudder, seek it out on Shudder. If you don't, try to watch it on Tubi. Like I said, that's how I watched it last night. And yeah, I really like this one. I'm not going to go right out and rewatch it, because I think this is one of those films where you got to let it simmer a little bit, and then you can go back and watch it and enjoy it again. So my rating for Host, I'm going to give it a 5 Deadites out of 5, because it was short, it was sweet, it was to the point, it was very effective on all points. And that's what I want a movie like this to be. I don't want it to be overblown. I don't want it to be overlong. I don't want I don't think a movie like this needs very much exposition, right? So you don't need a bunch of people talking around talking to each other for about an hour on a freaking Zoom call. This got to the nitty gritty, and it got to it fast. And I really liked the pacing of this film. They did everything right with this. I mean, some of the characters were a little obnoxious, but that happens with movies. You only had to deal with them for 58 minutes, right? So yeah, I can definitely recommend Host. And I can recommend Jeepers Creepers as well. So two very, very good choices that Menatallect had. I'm not saying everybody has to pick good movies. Uncle Bill picked Necromantic too for his choice, which, whoo wee, that was a hard watch, but I did it and I made it through. So that's all part of the fun of movie roulette. Never know what I'm going to get, right? It's almost like a box of chocolates in the Forrest Gump movie. I never know what I'm going to get. I never know what I'm going to be asked to watch. So I guess that's all from me for now. I'm going to go and get my groceries in and make sure the dogs are taken care of. And my dear husband will probably be home within the hour. Um, but I hope you guys and gals have enjoyed listening to me talk about Jeepers Creepers and Host from 2020. And again, Menatallect, if you see this and you say, well, that wasn't the Host movie I wanted to watch, just let me know. I'll be glad to rewatch the other one or watch the other one. I think I actually may have seen Host with Steve, but it had been a while and I had forgotten what happened. It's just that the characters seem familiar to me. So that is it for me for now. Stay tuned, barring any storms or anything. And that's Reggie, if y'all hear him. I'm going to get him in a second. Me and Candace will be returning with a shiny new Friday Foolish at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, talking about drive-in memories. And starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time will be the premiere of Evil Dead Chicks Slasher Fest. And we're going to be watching Friday the 13th, the original Friday the 13th, and Sleepaway Camp. Bring your popcorn and your soda or your beverage of choice, candy, whatever you need to enjoy these films properly. And as always, I'm off like a dirty shirt. This shirt ain't dirty, but I'm off like one. And I want to remind everybody, as I always do before I get off of here for the night, to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. And have a fantastic, if you're not able to tune in to either Friday Foolish or Evil Dead Chicks Slasher Fest, have a fantastic rest of your Friday, folks. And we're going to have a wonderful weekend, I promise. I got to work for 4 hours tomorrow, but that's not too much. That's not too much. And I got today off. So it's a trade-off. So I'm out of here for now, but I'll see everybody next time.